Welcome back, everybody, for part two of, as we have here, the Raintime. Wrestling Field of Corn, a Type C. Remember, we had a issue with that last time. I could not pronounce it. A terrible drought is raging through my mouth. I'm breathing heavily. It hurts to swallow. I attempt to sit upright, but my head is pounding and I sink down again. I doze off. Remember, we have a bit of a drinking problem. 2 hours later, the room is spinning. I drag myself to the sink and force myself to drink the nauseating lukewarm water, like a camel before a desert journey. Then I get up on my toes to open the tall window. A gust of fresh air blows into the room as if a vacuum seal has been broken. I pause for a moment to breathe in the air. Somebody drugged me. I got a really bad hangover. Just one more hour of sleep, then everything will be fine again. And while I'm lying in my bed, more and more cold air flows into the room. The condensation on the window slowly seeps away. My leg hairs rise up straight. And the layer of dust under my bed blow upwards and spread throughout the room to form an invisible layer on the floor and books. I'm breathing quietly now, my sleep growing deeper. I dream a dream in which I keep missing the bus. It's always that damn bus. 3 hours pass before I stir again. It's 14:36. I'm feeling much better now. My phone battery is almost dead, kind of like my laptop. I get up, shove a few library books in my bag, and descend the stairs. Any moment now. New is written in giant letters on the window. Ooh, sodas? Inside, a range of primary colors is poured out on me. The refrigerator unit produces a constant drone. Fucking E-Mart. E-Mart's bread section has little more to offer than a few bags of toaster strudel and a squash loaf of white. The smell of spoiled dairy is starting to affect me. I haven't eaten since yesterday evening. For a while I stand there, inspecting a large rack of mineral water, just to rest my overstimulated eyes. The people here live 4 meters below sea level, and yet they're willing to pay money for water. They should impose an import ban on the stuff. One day it'll be up to our necks again. I grab a box of cornflakes from a shelf. There's a short line in the cash register, or at the cash register. The man in front of me must be in his late 40s, with flabby arms and long, light red hair that's all tied back into a ponytail, save for a few dry strands that fall down over his sweaty forehead. In his shopping basket, I see 2 half-liter cans of beer, a tin of condensed milk, and a bag of canary feed. Would he make it if the dikes broke through? Would he be able to swim against the current with those chubby arms of his? Yo, my dude is so fucking judgmental, man. I hope he has enough time to set his little bird free. I am very morbid and very drunk. It's not much later that day that I encounter an unknown gray cat sitting on a wall near the motorway. The animal's eyeing me up stubbornly. I can hear him purring. I love cat purrs. He looks ancient, perhaps older than myself, with battered ears and thinning fur. I take out a handful of cornflakes and place them on the wall next to him. I fed a homeless guy. He sniffs at them disinterestedly before pacing away. Ungrateful bastard. In the library, I pass reading halls filled with students quietly at work. They're probably not the brightest if they have to study this hard. It's not even close to exam week. I take 3 books from my bag and hand them to the administration's office. He's a young guy. Or officer, my bad. He's a young guy, probably a student himself, trying to earn something on the side. They're late, he tells me, after scanning the books. Like, really, really late. All 3 of them. He has an apologetic grimace on his face. So what's the damage? I ask stoically. There's a $12.50 late fee, he replies, per book. So that makes $37.50 in total. What? I exclaim, slightly louder than intended, as a wave of anxiety rushes over me. I'm sorry, he replies sympathetically. I know it's high, but you've had them for 5 months. The library must have sent you plenty of warnings. But it's a library fine, I protest, fully aware that I'm making a scene. It should be 10 cents per week or something like that. This is ridiculous. I know, but it's a new policy to prevent inconveniencing the other students. People may be waiting for that book, you know. I pause for a second, contemplating the futility of arguing with the overly patient administration's officer, but I feel obligated to put up a fight, even if it's just for show. So, do they get the money? What do you mean? He asks. Do those poor students get the money from late fees wired over to them if they're so inconvenienced? Listen, he replies, audibly growing tired of the conversation. I don't make the rules over here. He stops to look something up in his computer. The system shows you have 18 more titles at home. I'd return them all. Get it over with. Consider this a lesson learned. Then he smiles. Return them all? I need those books. So what happens if I keep them longer? You bankrupt me? I paid tuition, you know. It won't go higher. Fees are capped at $12.50 per book. Do you want to pay the amount for those 3 right now? Or should I add it to your payments due? You can add them, I reply. And if it's capped at $12.50, I'm keeping these. I pick up the books from the counter. I might as well get my money's worth. I'd advise against that, he chuckles. It's really not how a library works. This is crazy. Oblivious to the rain, shoppers scurry towards the last bargains of the day. I'm trying to disregard their neuroticism as much as possible, but they still end up getting in my way. Suddenly, a familiar voice. Are you okay, old boy? Bernard, have you finished working? Yes, he answered. Busy day. Say, I didn't know you lurked here before sundown. Let's get a beer somewhere. 2 beers. I call out to the bartender as we pass by. The man picks up 2 glasses and starts pouring. Bernard nudges me. I actually felt like having a wine, he whispered gloomingly into my ear. What do you mean? I asked him. You just suggested we have a beer. It was a figure of speech, but beer's okay. Doesn't matter. Also, a red wine, please. I call out to the bartender, who's just finished pouring. It really doesn't matter, Bernard grumbles sorely. We pick up the drinks and head upstairs. This is a nice place. Brunick is a small pub situated in the corner of a residential block. Despite its central location, it's largely ignored by the shopping public. The patrons consist mainly of residents of the upper floors and students. Oh, it's that kid. I should have known. Okay. You're quite the poser with your red wine, I say to Bernard after we sit down. He guffaws? Huh. He guffaws. I drink the head off my first glass of beer. So what brings you to town anyway, he asks me. You're usually in bed around this time of day. I had some library books to return, I reply. Good for you. They're about to raise the overdue fees again. I heard the faculty struggling with a persistent hole in their budget, he asks. They're trying to patch it over the backs of lazy students. I, for one, say, no taxation without representation. Say, while I'm at it, Bernard continues, are you busy next month? How so? I reply. Well, as you know, we've been rehearsing something by Ibsen. Ibsen? Ibsen. We'll go with Ibsen. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Recently, with my drama group, we're still looking for someone to play a porter. Would that be something for you? Bernard's always busy with that little troupe of his. Last summer, they performed King Lear for a 12-headed audience. Well, come on, man. It'd be fun. Don't you want to keep the arts alive? I don't know, I reply. I probably won't show up for rehearsals. I'm not punctual lately. Got a lot on my mind. It's okay. You won't have to practice. You only have one word in the whole play. His insistence is starting to bother me. It's not gonna work out, Bernard. I'll fuck things up. I don't want to put in effort. Bernard seems like he's about to retort. You'll do fine without me, I add. Everyone does. You can ask Matt to do it if the part's really that easy. 6 pence, Bernard calls out. 6 pence. That's all you have to say. There, you've learned the role by heart. No, Bernard. I hesitate. Or you know what? I'll sleep on it. Bernard looks satisfied. I should turn his picture into a little smile behind him. He's pondering, as though he's searching for something to keep the conversation going. I take a few large sips from my beers. You may find this interesting, he starts. I'm working on something by Von Schultz. You know him? I think I've covered him once. I lie. He's okay. Isn't that the most wonderful prose you've ever read? He bursts out. The way he builds those sentences. I couldn't write that in 1,000 lifetimes. Bernard, who's just taken a big sip of wine, chokes on his words and breaks out spluttering. I watch my friend with compassion. Bernard's afflicted with a morbid tendency to gush. Ew. But it's an act, mostly. He shaped his entire personality millimeter by millimeter in his room behind his writing desk. I wait till the boy's done coughing. It's just books, Bernard. Be careful now. He recovers, whispering, That beauty, William. That's it. I'd give anything for that. I could spend my entire life slaving away in that stupid clothing store, if only to catch a glimpse now and then of a magnificent play. The beauty of the female form, the rays of morning sun. That's great, Bernard, I finish my first glass of beer. You want some? I ask him, gesturing at the second. Have you ever been in love, William? Or have you ever experienced that divine feeling of wholeness when a naked girl embraces you? Kinky. It's addictive, hiding underneath your skin, firing up in the most unexpected of moments. Perhaps. Say, on that matter, do you know Jasmine from the theater committee? I ask with a smile, just to see if I elicit a response. Yeah, I know her. Not bad. Her father, damn it, Josham Van Buren? I think he produced a few plays by Magenhans. Please, just look, I'm gonna screw these words up, just don't pay me no mind. You've struck gold there, old boy. I just keep staring at him attentively. Look, you know my opinion on these matters, he continues. I'd say go for it. Do whatever it takes, even if you have to lay down your life in the process. He pauses. Another beer, William? Then I'll have another glass of red. No thanks. I'm already one ahead of you, and I have a lecture to prepare. A lecture? Interesting. So have you guys arrived at Von Kleist yet? Bernard, I sigh. What image do you have of the German curriculum at a small town university? I get up and put on my coat. As the town hall has been under renovation, it's draped in thick polyethylene sheeting. On a pale December afternoon, the covers have the same light gray hue as the sky, camouflaging the building into a colossal chasm on the central square. A young man, tall, black hoodie and glasses, approaches me. You want a flyer? He asks me routinely as he hands me an orange pamphlet and prepares to move on. But I stop him. Wait a minute. What's this? I ask. He halts and turns to face me. Oh, it's a flyer for one front, he replies dismissively. With his right hand, he's holding a stack of pamphlets against his leg while rifling through them nervously with his thumb. His scruffy blonde hair protrudes from his head in irregular tufts. For some reason, he seems like the ideal target. Ah, one front, I reply, grinning nervously. Tell me all about them. I feel like I'm gonna kill this guy. I'm just gonna stab the shit out of him for no reason. Well, we stand for our national identity, he replies. You've probably noticed that it's getting busier over here. We're under pressure from all sides. I interrupt him. We're under pressure, you say? That sounds dangerous. As I said, our culture, our culture is being threatened, he continues. You've probably experienced for yourself how this city is changing. We're losing our core values. You're a student, right? I nod. Well, as a student, you've got to realize that things are happening to this country that really transgress all boundaries. I'm talking big topics like mass immigration, terrorism. What are your thoughts on that? He stopped talking as if waiting for a response. So, what do you think about Dippenbrock? I ask him. That's not what I mean, he replies. Just generally our way of life, our values. I interrupt him again. Dippenbrock, what do you know about him? Isn't he an outspoken symbol of our national identity? Sorry, it's just super damn loud for me, and I'm hoping it's not really loud for you guys. Um, I guess we'll see. The boy's fidgeting impatiently, as if he's looking for a way out of the conversation. You know, that's cool, he replies. Literature's important. I think I read one of his books in high school once, but I really have to continue handing out. Read one of his books? Read what book? I shout out triumphantly, my eyes glistening. Dippenbrock wasn't an author, was he? Come on. Dippenbrock? Alfie Dippenbrock. He seems downright irate now. Or irate. Irritated now. Good one. You got me, he sneers. Just read that flyer. Bye. And he's about to leave. I take out his pamphlet that I'd stuffed into my jacket pocket, crumbled it up into a ball, and throw it at his feet. Dippenbrock. Don't you forget that name. Viva la Orange Blanc Bleu? What the fuck is wrong with my dude? It's like he's a druggie or some shit. As he moves away, I consider trailing him, but I decide against it. 50 meters further, he resumes handing out flyers in the same evasive manner as before. Kind of wanted to read that flyer. Back home. At 3 o'clock this afternoon, a lecture will commence where I probably won't be appearing again. Through the window, I see dark rain clouds gathering. I feel a cold shiver about to rise up, but manage to suppress it by rapidly brushing my bare feet over the low pile carpet. I want to go to sleep, but force myself to study for a bit. Otherwise, I'd be taking the easy way out. I browse through the books by the bed. On top of one of the stacks lies a work by William von Schultz, which I quickly borrowed at the library yesterday afternoon. Or Schutz. Bernard's a terrible phony. I open it up and start deciphering the old black letter typeface. Read excerpts in English translation. Read excerpts in original German text. My German's a little shitty. Here we go. Each of us, in the end, must embrace the spirit of the universe from one or another side. Is he a philosopher? Then his dogmas will form the center point of his outlook as they correspond to the complexity of reality. Is he a poet? Then each vision of his imagination will bear the revelation of totality reborn. It's tough matter. 19th century or something. I should actually be doing my coursework. I must have skipped 6 lectures by now. Formally, that's too much. But I know Professor Elfried likes me. Spirits of the second kind don't want to reach, neither individually nor together, a clearer understanding of this than they are already familiar with. While the former seeks the absolute, they seek congruence. Congruence. Congruence in what sense? I hope this isn't a linguistic treatise? Treatise? And are satisfied as soon as individualities mutually align themselves in common congruence. That last part I read twice in a row. I liked Elfried too. She's sharp, and she dresses nicely. She's not as motherly as Professor Hoekstra. Everyone likes Hoekstra better, except for me. I don't trust her. The second way of treating The second way of treating thought, by hinting only at individual shared properties and often without care or provision, enables him even more to unite with each and every phenomenon that he encounters. With my concentration waning, I'm searching my desk for a pack of gum, lifting up books, pushing papers away, but it's nowhere to be found. I stole it. Because we can grasp the peculiar more easily, and it, as far as it succeeds, disappears even more. My phone vibrates with a message from Lars. I jolt right up. William, Rampage starts at 9 at Der Protest tonight. Because we can grasp the peculiar more easily, and it, as far as it succeeds, disappears even more. Then it penetrates the mind deeply through explanation and comparison, where it... Elfried, there's something in her voice, as though she doesn't take me too serious. Her figure's highlighted beautifully in those chiffon dresses, or chiffon dresses she wears, but for some reason I can't enjoy them as much. Because we can grasp. I picked up my phone again to send a confirmation message to Lars. Because we can grasp the peculiar more easily. Another message. Don't come walking this time. Because we can grasp the peculiar more easily, and it, as far as it succeeds, disappears even more when it penetrates the mind deeply through extrapolation and comparison. You know what? That's enough studying for today. I close the book, crawl into bed, and take out my phone. 11:27. I should probably start attending lectures again. Not this afternoon, but another day, when Elfried's there. The Germans and their poets. Bunch of dickheads, all of them. Wow, that was pretty deep. I massage myself to sleep thinking about Jasmine. The bed warms up slowly. Just hope he's not doing anything that he doesn't need to be doing. Oh, back at the club, y'all. It's stuffy as always in Proteus. Lars walks in. Bernard just called to say he's late. So you made it home safely Tuesday night? I was in bed before 6, I replied dryly. And then you overslept for your classes. Haha, go get us some beers. It's okay. I've built up a reputation, I say with a smile as I leave for the bar. I do, actually, attend classes. Just not all of them. It has to do with the way I take up information, but that's completely beyond Lars's comprehension. Immanuel Kant wouldn't leave his study for months on end, never saw a university from the inside, but he didn't do any worse over it. I have to fight my way to get to the bar. And the lady pours 2 beers. I see traces of white, soapy water running down the inside of the glasses. The thought of the rancid dishwasher mixing with my beer makes me gag inaudibly. It was a busy day at the administrative office, Lars says as I return. Next year's grant deadlines are coming up soon, and as always, the cobblers are sending their applications in last minute. What about the theater committee, I ask. Oh, they're on time, as always. We might actually come across them tonight. Lars looks at me. You've got a crush on Miss Van Buren, don't you? There's a worried tone in his voice. Bernard told me. Bastard talks too much. Maybe, I reply. Well, you're not the only one, he smiles. There's something about that girl that drives virtually every guy insane. My stomach turns. In any case, don't expect too much from her, Lars continues. More seriously, I'm not sure she's exactly your type. What do you mean? I ask, annoyed. Lars makes a dismissive gesture, but I continue staring at him. Listen, William, once in a while you have this tendency to be a little too nice to girls. What's wrong with that? I reply sharply. Look, there's nothing wrong with that in itself. You'll probably even get away with it once or twice. But girls like Jasmine are different. They're used to that kind of treatment. You need to play it tight with them. You understand? His words evoke unpleasant thoughts, leaving me with the notion that something that was once very pure has now been irredeemably perverted. Anyway, we're planning to visit the NTA performance of the Bach next next semester. Lars continues. I just greenlit their grant. Expensive. That's pretty serious, I mumble. You know, I add, Bernard's trouples be staging something too. About a porter, I think it was. Oh yeah, Lars comments. I heard that, but I think there's some bad blood between Bernard and the theater committee. Something about professional standards, if I remember. Wait a minute, Evelyn's calling. Lars answers the phone. As I'm about to take a sip from my beer, I recall the soapy water clinging to the inside of the glasses, and just in time, I place the glass somewhere on the table behind me. Lars has a short conversation with Evelyn and hangs up the phone. She's in the abyss. Let's move over there. I'll text Bernard. Where's your beer? Oh, it's all gone. We can go. There's a chubby woman standing on the dance floor, chatting with a friend. A few guys are circling around them, like toothless sharks, with decrepit faces from drinking too much dishwater. Let's go, Lars. Calm down. I can't drink as fast as you. Chug it down, killer clown. That's kind of messed up. The hum of the city is louder than usual. There's a lot of people on the move tonight. You're dressed too thinly, Lars calls out, pointing at my jacket. It's going to be cold. Don't patronize me, Van Dyke. Distractedly, I look upwards, where the catenary, where the wires of the trolley buses cross the sky. The buses of Bremsburg are like marionettes led throughout the city on wires. Suddenly, we hear a terrible sound coming in our direction. The fuck? Youthful, brazen cries with an unmistakable undertone of violence. It's a band of adolescents roaring loudly that's come rushing around the corner. One of them catches my attention. He's short, stocky build, broad chest and arms. And as he runs by, he pulls open his mouth to shout something, causing the contours of his dark red lips to stand out strikingly against his pale white cheeks. I stare after him until the whole group disappears from sight. What the fuck? That's great, I hear Lars mutter behind me. If they're heading for the abyss, we'll have to go someplace else. So a bunch of men just came screaming, crazy, bleeding, I guess. And that doesn't strike anybody strange? We pass through a heavy door and enter a small hallway that's filled with noise from the club. The doorman asks us for an entrance fee, but Lars seems adamant to get in for nothing. That's nonsense, he protests. It's a Thursday night. Nothing wrong with Thursdays, the doorman counters. I'm sorry, boys. There's a party on tonight, and it's a full house. You can take it or leave. I push past Lars and hand the man a 50. We each receive a black stamp on our hand featuring an obscure depiction of a simian. I don't know what that is. And one of those filthy stamps, too. I heard Lars mumbling as we head towards the dance floor. We find Matt and Evelyn standing with a few people I don't know. I try to dance, but keep bumping into the limbs of the people around me, causing their sweat to rub off onto my shirt. Ew. Next round's for you, Schweizenhahn. Lars calls out as he hands me a beer. The music's loud, and the longer I listen to it, the more I grow aware of a kind of primitive, mesmerizing cadence in the thumping tones. I finish my beer and leave the group to get rid of my glass. There's a sea of people in all directions. Everyone looks the same in the crowd, the bare backs, the faces, the polo shirts. And then, less than 4 meters away, I distinguish Jasmine's chestnut brown hair. She's facing my way, but doesn't seem to notice me. I move closer, and it turns out that she's standing with my friends. She's pretty. You didn't get us any beers? Lars calls out at me. For me too, Matt chimes in. You know you can't dance with a beer in your hand, I reply, rolling my eyes. And you're a despicable excuse for a human being. You know that? Matt shouts, shaking his head in feigned indignance. Indignance. That's a weird word. I look over at Jasmine. Our eyes met for a second, but then she turns away. I lean over to Matt, who's standing closer to me. How long has she been here? What? Who? Matt asks with a stupid expression on his face. Never mind. I call back a little softer. Matt looks at me like I'm crazy before returning his focus onto his preposterous little dance. And Lars's words keep bugging me. It's not like I place women on a pedestal. I'm just not a douchebag like Lars. But still, I give it a try, imagining that she's not that pretty after all. Strands of dry hair hang down her dull, skinny cheeks. Whenever she speaks, her face wrinkles up a little, as if she's been drinking too much. Her nose, which seems so tender at first, protrudes distortedly beyond her far too short upper lip. This guy's a dick. Suddenly, she lowers her gaze. With her mouth closed, she's looking for something in her bag. Her proportions appear a little skewed. She brings out a packet of cigarettes, holds it up, and looks around the circle, smiling broadly. I smile back at her. She beckons me, and I follow her into the smoking room. It's working. Uh-oh. Oh. The pungent smell of cigarette smoke permeates everything. It enters my lungs and fires me up, encouraging me. I sit down next to her. So what are you majoring in? She asks. I think I've seen you at Unit E. She hands me a cigarette. Could be, I reply. I'm doing German lit. You're in the TC, right? You guys still have tickets for Bosch? Bosch? We'll say Bosch. We'll go with that. Yeah, sure, she responds disinterestedly. So, do you like going out? Without waiting for an answer, she reaches for my head and giggles. You've got really nice hair, you know that? Ah, it's okay, I respond. Sorry, I've had a little too much to drink. She keeps playing with my hair. It's all a bit too lightheartening for me. I grab her hand, move it away from my head, and smile. She comes in a bit closer, causing the fabric of her skirt to rub up against my fingers. Sexy. Thanks for coming along, she says. After we finish our cigarettes, everyone's quit smoking nowadays. So have I laugh. They're probably talking behind our backs right now. We're just smoking buddies, she whispers. Okay? Alright. We return to the dance floor, and as the evening passes, we stay very close together, getting each other drinks and dancing to the music. I notice Lars looking at me now and again with an undetermined expression on his face. I think Lars likes her too. At about 2 a.m., we head back to the smoking room. You want another drink? I ask. No, you don't need it. I put my arm around her. Want to head back to my place? She asks in a childish voice. I get up and pull her along. That didn't take any convincing, if only it was that easy to pick up chicks. Outside, she silently unlocks her bicycle, her bare arms shivering in the midnight wind. You want my jacket? I ask. Stop being so nice. I'll tell you where to go, she says softly. After her bicycle finally breaks free, she jumps on the back. And as we ride through the streets of Bremersburg together, it feels like everything has built up to this one moment, as if something incomprehensibly large is about to unfold. Chick's a werewolf, $5. A great time is commencing. She's a werewolf, bro. It's a full moon. She's gonna eat you, man. It's called the Raintime for a reason, because it's gonna be raining your blood, dude, all over the place. Nice dark crib. Bathroom's down the hall. She unbuttons her coat and throws it onto the double bed that stands in the middle of the room before disappearing into the kitchen. See, she's about to go. See, bro, get out of there. Her room overlooks a few more student buildings. A few windows still have lights burning. I'll get us some water, she calls out from the kitchen. It's poison. I go and sit down on the bed. I look around at the posters of the theater committee on the wall, at her bookcase. Excuse me. She's been away for. Oh, wait. She's been away for quite a while now. Too long to just be pouring water. She's got a gun, bro. And I try to imagine that I'm not waiting for her, that I'm only visiting without reason, just to be here, but it doesn't work. I'm groggy from all the beer. She returns, without the water, and takes place next to me on the bed. She's drunk. It's all very easy this way. I should have gone to the bathroom, but she's too close now. Her breath tastes of alcohol and tobacco. And for a second, I ponder how many other boys she's done this with. Her cast off coat is rubbing up against my back. I try to push it away in vain. In the corner of my eye, I can distinguish part of her face. My hand moves towards her chest. Go ahead, she whispers in my ear. And I pull on her blouse bottoms, or buttons, but my right arm's cramping and they won't give way. I wonder what she was doing in the kitchen for so long. It's warm. I need the toilet. I can't get a grip of those buttons. Dude. Any plans for tonight? I ask her in an attempt to relieve the tension. Well, yeah, she answers demandingly, her eyes pressed into tiny slits. But it's dissipated entirely. Now that they were in bed together, about to make love, I've grown painfully aware that what's unfolding here is actually the most mundane thing in the world. I'm one in a series of thousands. My great time hasn't come yet. Maybe it's true. Jasmine isn't my type of girl. It's hot, and I need to urinate. There we go, she mumbles, as she finally helps me undo her blouse. But I pull my arm away. I need to go to the bathroom, I mutter inaudibly as I get up. She's staring after me, dumbstruck, but I don't even notice. I'm out of the room, down the stairs, away from the apartment complex. A tropical breeze is blowing through my hair. Onward now, without looking back. Damn. So he's a dick and a wuss. Okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with if you're not ready for something to not pursue that, and it also works for him. So part 2, winter. We will we'll be back for this. Slowly, silently searching. A gray SUV glides down the street. Thank you for watching part 2 of the Raintime. Be back for part 3. Hope you had a great time listening to me butcher words like usual. It's a really hard thing. To think I'm a rapper on top of it. So yeah, hope to see you for part 3 next Saturday. You guys have a great week. Subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Peace.